John Kasich, presidential candidate, Republican, is on the phone with us. Sir, welcome to the program, Governor. It's great to have you with us. Would you respond to what President Obama just said about the Brussels attack?
Well, he didn't say much about it. I didn't, I would have handled this differently. Perhaps I would have made a speech, but I would have talked more about the battle against the civilized world, and clearly I would be coming back home to gather the leaders, or the heads of state, and put together teams of people to figure out why we have these vulnerabilities in our counterterrorism.
Governor, the president is maintaining his schedule. He's not changing his schedule.
Yeah, I just don't agree with. I just don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. That is not an approach that I would take. I think he should come home and begin to coordinate with our friends, heads of state around the world, and dispatching teams of people to figure out exactly why we have these vulnerabilities and what can we do to fix them.
Senator Ted Cruz, in a statement about a half hour ago, laid it all, a lot of the terror problem, laid a lot of it on the back of President Obama, suggesting that in part it was his fault. Would you respond to that?
Well, look, I think that we've seen a lot of mistakes made by the administration. The inability of the administration to deal with Assad in Syria by not supporting the rebels in Assad. The idea that we have red lines and then we walk away from them. I think the inability to gather a coalition of the civilized world to destroy ISIS. And then, of course, the migrant disaster, which has allowed people to flow across these borders without the ability to vet who they are. I mean, all of these things are I think, mistakes that the administration has made. And now, at this point, I think, the key is, what do we do? It's not so much we can learn from the lessons of the past, which has been basically, in my opinion, a weak foreign policy, an inability to gather people together. But now we've got to move forward and figure out what we can do to solve these weaknesses that the West currently has.
Governor, Donald Trump earlier today on Fox News and Fox Business said we should close the borders till we figure out what's going on. Your response to that?
Well, close the borders to who? I mean, I don't know what that means. Clearly, we have said, the governors have said, that we're not going to take refugees from Syria, that we cannot properly vet them. But I don't know what that means. Close the borders to who? To everybody? To not let anybody in the United States? I mean, that's just not a workable or a wise way to proceed. Frankly, we need the entire civilized world to work with us. And if you're going to have good human intelligence, it can't just be from people who are from the West. We are also going to make sure that we have people who understand Islam and understand the radical nature of elements of it to help us to be able to counter these things. So this is not a time for these sweeping statements. This is the time for us to figure out why these things, why this has happened, where's been the breakdown in intelligence, and what exactly do we need to do to get it fixed, to get it improved.
On day one of a John Kasich presidency, what would be the first thing you would do on the issue of terror and security?
Well, we wouldn't wait till the first day of a presidency. We would start right after the election in terms of being able to pull together our allies, figure out how we can have a much stronger relationship, more trust, that we can beef up the intelligence that we need to be able to explain that we are going to rebuild our military as effectively and as efficiently as we possibly can. I mean, these are the things you do to begin to rebuild these relationships which have become tattered and get people to work together.
Would you take an aggressive military stand against ISIS and its bases in the Mideast?
Of course. I believe that a coalition ought to be assembled of both our friends in the Arab world and, of course, our friends in NATO, with the United States playing a leadership role in the air and on the ground, and ISIS must be destroyed. And when you do that, you begin to weaken that whole radical movement.
I picked up on the air and on the ground. You would have American troops on the ground, boots on the ground, firing shots in anger, going after ISIS. You would?
Well, I mean, in anger, I just have them do their job. I have them do their job effectively, but it wouldn't just be Americans. It would be people from across our coalition, including Arabs, just like we had in the first Gulf War. You don't want to do this alone. You want to do this as a group, as a coalition. And when you do that, you're going to be far more effective in what you do than if you tried to go and do it alone.
Are we at war with radical Islam?
Yeah, I believe that we have been, in fact, at war with radicals that want to destroy civilization. And we have to deal with it in a confident, strong, calm way and take care of business.
Would you change our surveillance rules?
Well, I mean, we definitely have a problem here with the issue of cyber, and the cyber issue has to be dealt with by both the intelligence community and the technology community. And that's where they need to be put in a room, and they need to be told to sit down and work this out so it's not bleeding on the front page of newspapers or headlines on television.
Governor Kasich, thank you very much indeed for taking time out of what is obviously a very busy day for you. We appreciate it, Governor. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.